Warning, this super edgy episode just might have some mature content. By mature, we mean juicy details about those oh-so-dull historical events with graphic descriptions. Kids, you might need a babysitter for this one, because we wouldn't want you to accidentally learn something about history. God forbid. Enjoy. Or don't, we don't care. And just a tiny little thing to keep in mind. We all love being interrupted by ads while trying to enjoy some precious historical content. It's not like we could do without those ever-so-fascinating paid promotions that miraculously support the podcast's production costs. But hey, who needs an uninterrupted historical journey when you can have some good old product placements, right?
Broadcasting live from an undisclosed bunker, it's the Reasonably Priced Time Machine podcast, with your host, Professor Ryan Lancaster. Also featuring a good dose of mediocrity from the talents of Archie and Hildy. Episode 67, Caffeinated Catastrophes.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Reasonably Priced Time Machine podcast, where history unfolds like a cheap lawn chair in a hurricane. I'm your intrepid host, Professor Lancaster, the man who believes time travel should come with a warranty. Meet my loyal sidekicks, Archie and Hildy, the dynamic duo of dystopian data.
Greetings, temporal voyagers. I calculate the probability of historical mishaps at 99.9%.
And I'm here to remind you that your laundry will still pile up even if you change the past.
Today's episode is a roller coaster through the highlights and lowlights of history, where the past is just the future's embarrassing photo album. We're diving into Tape versus Hurley, where a heated debate over education left more wounds than a paper cut in a thumb war.
Moving on to the Rock Springs Massacre, where tensions ran higher than my battery voltage during a power surge.
Then we'll stroll through the Haymarket Riot, where the anarchists threw a party and things got so wild even the bartenders were asking for IDs on Molotov cocktails.
Anarchy is not just a theory but a way of life.
Now, let's fizz our way through the bubbly tale of Coca-Cola, the beverage that united the world in sugary harmony, or so they thought.
And finally, we'll descend into the depths of the Hell's Canyon Massacre, where even time traveling couldn't save the day. Turns out, some things are just meant to be messy.
A massacre so horrific it makes time wish it could forget.
So buckle up, time travelers. It's going to be a bumpy ride through the absurdity of history on the Reasonably Priced Time Machine podcast, because there is no point in fixing the past when you can just mock it.
What does Professor Lancaster think?
In the waning of the 19th century, discontent swirled amidst the toiling masses of the United States, a tempest born of the grinding oppression within the cauldron of industrial work. This epoch bore witness to the birth pangs of the labor movement, a noble uprising against the draconian conditions that fettered industrial workers, etching an indelible mark upon the annals of American history. Facing the stubborn resistance of titans and barons of industry, the labor movement emerged as a guiding light, a clarion call for fair wages, truncated hours, and safer havens for toil. Through tenacious collective action, the laborers reshaped the very contour of labor rights, leaving an indomitable imprint upon American society. Picture the despair, the dreary tableau of the Industrial Revolution, where workers were trapped in the unyielding gears of protracted hours, paltry wages, and dangerous precincts. The labor movement rose as the retort to this dehumanizing milieu, with workers acknowledging the sinewan unity. Unions such as the National Labor Union, a phoenix born in 1866, blazed a trail of collective audacity, demanding equitable wages and the sanctity of safety in the crucible of labor. The heartbeat of the labor movement resided not in isolation, but in the harmonious cadence of collective action. Strikes, boycotts, and confrontations echoed like a resounding anthem nationwide. The Great Railroad Strike of 1877 and the Pullman Strike of 1894 bore testament to the resonating power of unified voices, a loud challenge to the status quo, and an insistent cry for justice. Collective bargaining, a weapon honed in the crucible of dissent, enabled workers to face down their employers on a level playing field. The American Federation of Labor, a bastion of collective will, achieved a monumental triumph by championing the sacred 8-hour workday, a tangible, temporal result of the struggle endured by the toiling masses. However, the labor movement's influence reached far beyond the noisy machinery and hidden recesses of minds. It surpassed the mechanical drone of factories to emerge as a champion of social justice. The United Mine Workers advocated for improved safety protocols. At the same time, the International Ladies Garment Workers Union acted as a defender of equitable compensation and stable conditions for women laboring in the garment sector. Furthermore, the labor movement didn't restrict itself to the boundaries of gender or race. The Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters, displaying unwavering determination, relentlessly fought for equal treatment and job opportunities for African American workers. Nevertheless, akin to any human-inspired tale, the labor movement carried shadows of vulnerability and resistance. As exemplified by the Haymarket Affair of 1886, internal divisions and violent confrontations acted as cracks, weakening its collective strength. Some unions, hindered by short-sightedness, neglected the interconnected challenges faced by women, immigrants, and non-white workers, ultimately compromising the movement's effectiveness. Still, the enduring legacy of the labor movement stands as proof of the resilient determination of those who battled for the rights we now often overlook. It unfolds the intricate tapestry of American history, questioning prevailing narratives and emphasizing the unstoppable spirit of united action that shaped the contours of American society. In conclusion, the late 1800s labor movement emerged as a crucible in U.S. history, marked not just by triumphs, but also by its fallibilities. Today's study is imperative, excavating the complexities that birthed it, a clarion call to advocate for fair labor practices, protect workers' rights, and confront the ongoing specter of exploitation. The legacy of the labor movement resonates in the freedoms we savor today, underscoring the enduring relevance of collective action in forging a more equitable future.
Tape versus Hurley.
A particular episode reverberates faintly in the mystic corridors of California's legal annals, a collision between identity and justice dating back to 1885. The Tape versus Hurley affair, born from the loom of discrimination, propelled Mamie Tape, a Chinese-American scholar, into the limelight as she faced rejection from a San Francisco public school solely due to her lineage. As the California Supreme Court's gavel resonated, it not only signaled a pivotal moment for the rights of minority youth, but also engraved a precedent deep into the bedrock of American legal chronicles. During the late 19th century, California confronted a surge of Chinese immigrants, an undercurrent that stirred racial animosities and xenophobia. The repercussions materialized in discriminatory practices, one poignant instance being the exclusion of Chinese-American youngsters from public educational institutions. Amidst this crucible of injustice, Mamie Tape emerged as the symbolic resistance figure. Fueled by familial defiance, her king contested the infringement on her entitlement to a public education. The California Supreme Court's decision, delivered with the weight of significance, ruled in favor of Mamie Tape. The court declared the exclusion of a child from public school based on race or ethnicity a violation of constitutional principles of equal protection, a groundbreaking stride in dismantling institutionalized discrimination in education. Yet, victory was elusive and nuanced. Subsequent legal maneuvers, inspired by the ominous Plessy versus Ferguson case in 1896 and its separate but equal doctrine, permitted the continuation of segregation in schools. The Legal Juggling Act perpetuated a system where minority students were consigned to distinct, often inferior, educational facilities. Tape versus Hurley did not sound the death knell for segregation in California. The lingering echoes of discrimination persisted, finding expression in cases like Mendez versus Westminster in 1947. Here, Mexican-American children in Orange County challenged the segregation they faced, invoking the precedent set by Tape versus Hurley. Despite its limitations, the decision is a crucial waypoint in the struggle for equal education. It acted as a catalyst, propelling future legal battles and legislation to dismantle educational discriminatory practices. However, the subsequent introduction of legislation endorsing segregated but equal facilities, inspired by Plessy versus Ferguson, underscored the resilience of discriminatory practices. Legal semantics, while complying with the letter of the law, perpetuated unequal educational opportunities for minority children. To date, the study of Tape versus Hurley is not merely a historical exercise. It is a journey into the ongoing struggle for equal education. The case is a stark reminder of marginalized communities' enduring challenges in accessing quality education. Unraveling this history is imperative for shaping inclusive educational policies and fostering an environment where all children, regardless of race or ethnicity, have equitable opportunities to learn and thrive. In the grand tapestry of American legal history, Tape versus Hurley holds a prominent position. A landmark case that marked a pivotal victory for the rights of minority children, yet a case that reveals the labyrinthine nature of the fight against discrimination in education. As we scrutinize this chapter, we gain profound insights into the complexities of this historical struggle. We are reminded of the work that lies ahead to ensure equitable opportunities for all.
Rock Springs Massacre.
In the tumultuous cauldron of late 19th century America, the Rock Springs Massacre of 1885 emerges as a searing tableau of economic upheaval and societal discord, etched against the sprawling canvas of the American West. This macabre dance unfolded amidst the frenetic rhythms of a region intoxicated by an economic boom, luring in a mosaic of immigrants, including Chinese laborers seeking their fortune in the crucible of opportunity. Yet, the Chinese unwittingly kindled resentment among the established white settlers with their willingness to toil for meager wages. As the economic tapestry of the West expanded, so did the schism between those who saw prosperity and those who felt the sting of perceived economic usurpation. The massacre, born from the labor dispute between the Union Pacific Coal Company and discontented white miners, exposed the underbelly of hatred harbored by the latter towards their celestial counterparts. Armed to the teeth, they descended upon the Chinese enclave in Rock Springs, the clash leaving in its wake smoldering ruins, the haunting echoes of at least 28 lives extinguished, and a diaspora of hundreds fleeing the scorched earth of racial hatred. The immediate fallout of this blood-soaked drama reverberated through the lives of the Chinese immigrants. Rendered homeless, traumatized, and scattered, they became unwitting pawns in the giant chessboard of racial tension. The ripples of the massacre manifested as a tsunami of anti-Chinese sentiment that surged through the veins of the American West, infusing further violence and discrimination into an already inflamed sociocultural cauldron. The Rock Springs Massacre is not a mere footnote in history, but a potent symbol of the strife-laden tapestry of late 19th century America. It serves as a harsh reminder of the indelible scars that immigration dynamics can etch upon the soul of a nation. The event's grim legacy, carved in the annals of anti-Chinese sentiment, cast a long shadow on the Chinese immigrant experience. Delving into this dark chapter of history is not an exercise in morbid fascination, but an imperative for comprehending the intricate interplay of immigration, racial dynamics, and labor disputes in the American narrative. The Rock Springs Massacre offers a stark lens through which to scrutinize the enduring consequences of economic disparities and the tribulations immigrant communities face. A sober examination of this historical wound provides a compass to navigate the labyrinth of past transgressions and chart a course toward a more inclusive and tolerant society. In conclusion, the Rock Springs Massacre is a haunting testament to the disruption of economic and social tensions that engulfed late 19th century America. Though faded over time, its echoes resonate in immigrant communities' challenges and the persistent struggle for a more harmonious society. Though bitter, its lessons are indispensable for a nation journeying through the ebbs and flows of its tumultuous history.
And now, a short commercial break and a word from our sponsors.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, gather round. Have we got a groundbreaking product to introduce to you? You thought you'd seen it all, but you haven't seen nothing. That's right, folks. Nothing. The revolutionary, life-changing concept that's taking the world by storm. Are you tired of the constant barrage of exciting experiences and meaningful connections? Do you find yourself yearning for the sweet embrace of emptiness? Well, look no further. Nothing is not just an absence of things, it's a lifestyle. Imagine a world where expectations and dreams are shattered into insignificant pieces. With nothing, you'll never have to worry about happiness, fulfillment, or purpose again. Act now, and we'll throw in our deluxe package, absolute nothing. Yes, you heard that right. It's like nothing, but even more, nothing. Your friends will be amazed as you effortlessly transcend the bounds of existence itself. Who needs joy, success, or even essential human interaction? With nothing, you'll be the envy of, well, No one, because they'll be too busy chasing their futile desires. Are you worried about the meaninglessness of life? Don't be. Because with nothing, you can revel in the sheer absurdity of it all. Scream into the void, and guess what? The void doesn't care. It's nothing. So, folks, if you're ready to embrace the ultimate void, call 1-800-EMBRACE-NOTHING and order nothing today. Say goodbye to ambition, purpose, and genuine emotions. Say hello to a life of exquisite nothingness. Nothing. Because, in the grand scheme of things, does anything even matter? Disclaimer, nothing is not responsible for any existential crises, feelings of emptiness, or loss of motivation that may arise from using our product. Use nothing at your own risk.
And now, back to our regularly scheduled programming. Haymarket Riot.
In the gritty annals of American labor lore, there's a tale etched in the dingy streets of Chicago, the Haymarket Riot of 1886. A storm in the stormy sea of labor unrest, where the oppressed sought refuge from the unforgiving grind of steel and meatpacking industries. It all boiled over at Haymarket Square like lousy beer in a tavern brawl. Picture a ragtag assembly of weary souls, members of the International Working Men's Association, championing the gospel of an 8-hour workday. A modest plea, you'd think. But this was Chicago, a city forged in the fires of industry, where the suits cared more about the bottom line than the sweat-soaked brows of the commoner. The drama unfolded on May 4, 1886, a day that would be etched in blood. A peaceful rally turned pandemonium when someone thought it wise to toss a bomb into the law's lap. Chaos ensued, with coppers biting the dust and casualties mounting. The aftermath led to a courtroom circus with labor leaders and activists in the spotlight, their fate dangling like a hangman's noose. The trial was a twisted dance of bias, flimsy evidence pirouetting in the air like ash from a burning factory chimney. The accused are mere pawns in a game rigged against them. Guilt was the script, the truth a casualty. The Haymarket Riot, beyond its carnage, birthed a rallying cry. It wasn't just about the laborers sweating through their shifts, it became a battleground for the very soul of the labor movement. Unions, once tame, found their roar, their call to arms echoing through the grimy alleys of industrial Chicago. The fallout was a slap in the face of civil liberties. The trial's rushed tempo, the dubious evidence were all ingredients for a recipe cooked in the fires of prejudice. The convictions and the hangman's hand descending had a chilling effect. Once considered sacred, free speech and assembly are now casualties of a city's paranoia. Today, the echoes of the Haymarket Riot linger, a ghostly reminder of the toil endured for the flicker of workers' rights. Its legacy isn't just etched in yellowed pages, it lives in the grit of calloused hands and the enthusiasm of those who still fight for justice in the workplace. In the stained tapestry of American history, the Haymarket Riot stands as a gritty turning point. It's more than a labor struggle, it's a saga of the desperate clamoring for a semblance of fairness. The controversial trial and the hangman's shadow still stretch long, casting a sobering pall over discussions of civil liberties and the rights of the toiling masses. Study this chapter and you'll see the dance between the powerful and the powerless. In the soot and sweat of Haymarket, you'll find not just a story, but a lesson about the fragile dance of justice and the ever-burning quest for a fair shake in the unforgiving crucible of work.
Coca-Cola.
So here it is, the tale of Coca-Cola, that fizzy elixir that sprouted from the mind of John Pemberton, a druggist with a penchant for the carbonated. Born in the sweltering crucible of Atlanta, Georgia, in 1886, this brew bubbled forth to fill thirsty throats and etch its effervescent signature on the global psyche. In the dimly remembered days of yore, during the tail end of the 19th century, Coca-Cola wasn't just another beverage peddled at the corner drugstore. A man with more fizz in his ideas than his brew, Pemberton took to the art of hawking with an enthusiasm that'd make a snake oil salesman blush. And picture this, Coca-Cola, not just a drink, but a rebellious quencher, giving a saucy wink at tradition. Move over ho-hum soft drinks, there's a new sheriff in town, and it's wetter and wilder than anything you've sipped before. Then comes Asa Candler, the maestro, who waves his wand and takes a swig of Coca-Cola ownership. Suddenly, it's not just garbage for the soda fountain sippers, it's bottled magic. Candler, the puppet master of distribution and marketing, slingshots Coca-Cola into the stratosphere. And lo and behold, the world now gulps down the brown elixir from bottles, not just fizzy streams. Fast forward to World War II, when Coca-Cola morphs from mere refreshment to embody American grit. Soldiers, far from home and missing the warmth of hearth and cola, find solace in the comforting hiss of opening Coke bottles. It's not just a drink, it's a gulp of patriotism, a sip of stars and stripes in the deserts of war. Yet, as the fizz settles, we can't ignore the belches of discontent. Critics wag their fingers, accusing Coca-Cola of being the high fructose harbinger of health doom. The plastic bottles, once vessels of liquid joy, now float in the sea of environmental woe. The cola crown sits uneasily upon a head burdened with concerns about obesity and ecological sins. So, here it stands, this brown ambrosia, an unintentional chronicler of American ups and downs. From fizz to fizzle, marketing marvel to wartime mascot, Coca-Cola mirrors the dance of progress and pitfalls. It's not just a swig, it's a gulp of history, a sip of the complexities that make America burp and bubble. Cheers to you, Coca-Cola, for being more than just a drink. You're the bubbly spirit of a nation, a carbonated chronicle etched in caramel.
Hell's Canyon Massacre.
In the rugged expanse of northeastern Oregon, where the winds whisper through canyons and the land cradles the stories of its indigenous people, the Hell's Canyon Massacre of 1887 etches a harrowing narrative into the annals of American history. This haunting tale unravels a strained dance between the U.S. government and the Nez Perce, particularly in the sacred expanse of the Wallowa Valley. Once, the Nez Perce had extended a hand of friendship to Lewis and Clark, aiding their expedition through this majestic terrain. However, a treaty of 1855 severed the ties of trust, coercing the Nez Perce to relinquish a substantial part of their ancestral lands, including the hallowed grounds of the Wallowa Valley. Promises made were discarded, and the tribe found themselves trapped in the relentless grasp of territorial encroachment. The macabre crescendo unfolded in 1887 when federal forces descended upon a Nez Perce camp nestled in the ominous embrace of Hell's Canyon. In the aftermath, more than 60 souls paid the ultimate price, victims of a ruthless manifestation of the government's policy of removal and dispossession. The echoes of gunshots and the anguished cries of the Nez Perce reverberate through time, laying bare the broader pattern of violence and injustice perpetrated against Native American tribes. The toll on the Nez Perce was catastrophic. Lives were extinguished, families shattered, and a forced departure to the north in a desperate gambit for survival. The flight to Canada tore at the very fabric of the Nez Perce community, leaving wounds that persist like lingering shadows. The Hell's Canyon Massacre is a testament to the profound and enduring impact of the government's actions, a stain on the historical canvas in terms of lost lives and cultural heritage erasure. In the wake of the massacre, the fragile trust between the U.S. government and the Nez Perce unraveled utterly. The sense of betrayal, already deeply rooted, festered for generations, leaving behind a legacy of mistrust that continues to shape the dynamics between Native American tribes and federal authorities. The Hell's Canyon Massacre stands as a stark reminder that historical trauma, once inflicted, reverberates through time, shaping the course of future interactions. To comprehend the significance of the Hell's Canyon Massacre, delve into the heart of the complex tapestry woven by centuries of injustice and violence in the U.S. and Native American narrative. It offers a sad reflection on the repercussions of land dispossession, broken promises, and the deployment of military might against indigenous peoples. To disregard such historical wounds is to deny the resilience and enduring struggles of Native American communities. While acknowledging the darkness of the Hell's Canyon Massacre, one must also recognize the glimmers of progress in the ongoing saga of U.S. and Native American relations. The Indian Reorganization Act of 1934 and contemporary efforts to address historical grievances signal a growing awareness of the imperative for justice and recognition. Nevertheless, the scars left by events like the Hell's Canyon Massacre persist, demanding continued efforts to confront and rectify historical wrongs. In wrapping up, the Hell's Canyon Massacre of 1887 remains an enduring mark on the American consciousness, symbolizing the broader injustices committed against Native American tribes. It vividly recalls the severe outcomes stemming from land dispossession, coerced relocation, and the harsh enforcement of military aggression. Delving into this somber episode constitutes a historical exploration and a plea for engagement, prompting us to tread the journey toward justice and reconciliation with keen awareness and empathetic spirits. Let's give a shout out to the fantastic team behind the scenes. Our executive producers, Ryan Lancaster and Ryan Lancaster, have been the driving force. Thanks to Ryan Lancaster, our sound engineer, for ensuring our voices sound their best. Ryan Lancaster's music composition adds that perfect touch to each episode. Our diligent research team, consisting of Ryan Lancaster and Ryan Lancaster, provides valuable insights. And a nod to Ryan Lancaster and Ryan Lancaster, handling all things marketing and promotion. Special thanks to our families and friends for their unwavering support and the entire creative community. And, of course, a massive shout out to our listeners. Your feedback keeps us motivated. We're proud to have recorded this episode at the Ryan Lancaster Studios, our creative hub. Remember, the views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of Ryan Lancaster and our guests. Until next time, I'm Professor Ryan Lancaster, and this is the RPTM Podcast.
As we power down the engines of our trusty time machine, we hope you've enjoyed your journey through history without breaking the bank. The reasonably priced Time Machine podcast has taken us on an adventure through the ages while keeping our wallets intact. We've explored pivotal moments, met fascinating figures, and even saved a few bucks for more details, intriguing tidbits, and a chance to catch up on missed episodes. Head to ryanglancaster.com and delve into the show notes. And before we close this chapter, we'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to rate us on the platform you're using to tune in, it helps us keep the chronicles coming. Thanks for joining us on this journey, fellow time travelers.